Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to another book chat. First book chat after a bit of a hiatus, and first book chat in the new house, which I'd show you, but there's still boxes everywhere and stuff. But as you can see, the books have re-emerged, so all's good. Okay, so the last book chat I did was the first of the monthly ones, and it was books I read in May, which I think I actually videoed at the start of May. So it was actually books I read in April. I don't know. Everything got very confused with the move, and I've lost track of everything, including what I've been reading. Because as has been mentioned before, my memory is not necessarily the best. However, the cool thing about this is that what I've done is I have just grabbed the books which have really stuck with me over the past, of what I read over the past couple of months. And so it's kind of like my best of. We'll call it the best of May and June. Start of July, I don't know. Anyway, I'll get back into a routine at some point. So, right, I have been reading very patchily because things have been very busy. There have been quite a few books I've read on my Kindle which haven't really stuck with me, although they were sort of interesting ones to try. There have been a lot of DNFs, a lot of do not finishes, because I do enjoy picking books up on BookBub and just trying new authors, trying new genres sometimes as well. But if I don't connect with them, then I won't continue with them. So there was quite a few of those. There were quite a few which just obviously weren't that memorable because I'm looking at them now going, yeah, I don't know. So I do, however, have a selection here, all of which have sort of stuck with me for various reasons. So I'll start with Sylvia Plath and The Bell Jar. So when I was a teenager at school, we studied Sylvia Plath's poetry, and I loved it. It was so powerful, and the imagery was so vivid, and to me, I really connected to it. I loved it. Not so good with poetry anymore these days, but having read this, I think it'd be definitely worth picking up some of her poetry again. I did enjoy the book. Again, a lot of very strong imagery. There's one passage here which I love. You probably already, if you haven't read The Bell Jar, you probably already know the fact that it is fictionalized, but it does reflect Sylvia Plath's life in a lot of ways, and it was her only novel. And it is about a young woman struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts. Where are we? I did have this, but there's two sections, and I don't know. I was the only girl on the beach in a skirt and high heels, and it occurred to me I must stand out. I had removed my patent leather shoes after a while, for they foundered badly in the sand. It pleased me to think they would be perched there on the silver log, pointing out to sea, like a sort of soul compass, after I was dead. I fingered the box of razors in my pocketbook. Then I thought how stupid I was. I had the razors, but no warm bath. I considered renting a room. There must be a boarding house among all those summer places, but I had no luggage. That would create suspicion. Besides, in a boarding house, other people are always wanting to use the bathroom. I'd hardly have time to do it and step into the tub when somebody would be pounding at the door. The gulls on their wooden stilts at the tip of the bar meowed like cats. Then they flapped up one by one in their ash-coloured jackets, circling my head and crying. And it's a very powerful story. It's I admit, so when I was reading it, I was thinking back to Janet Frame, who's a New Zealand author, and I think it was Angel at My Table, I can't remember now, but it was her account also of struggling with mental health, and she also underwent electroshock therapy, and so there are a lot of parallels there. And I now really want to go back and read Janet Frame's book, because I read that as a teenager, and I guess that was sort of had a stronger impact on me than The Bell Jar. But it was beautifully well written and a really interesting read. So, excellent. Stephen King, The Outsider. I actually picked this up relatively soon after it was released, which is very unusual for me. So this is another one where, similar to the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, he's playing with the more almost procedural cop story, but bringing in obviously this bit of a supernatural element. Really excellent read. If you enjoy Stephen King, it's it's classic Stephen King. It's really, really good. It also brings in Holly, who's one of the characters from the Mr. Mercedes series, who's an excellent character. And so yeah, good read. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Just good Stephen King. Okay, Iain Banks, Complicity. Now, I think I've tried a couple of Iain Banks where his writing is sci-fi, and I find them very heavy going because I'm not a serious sci-fi reader. I tend to read more people-oriented sci-fi, and less of the more technical side of things. And I found his quite heavy going, or maybe I haven't found the right one yet, because he is an amazing author. And years ago, I read The Wasp Road, I think, Wasp Factory even. Oh God, now I'm really confused. But yeah, which was excellent and really well done and really, really stuck with me. So this is, again, excellent. It's got an interesting sort of technique where it switches between being told in second person, which I always find really, really odd. So second person, present tense, and that's very strange. It switches between this to being told in first person. And his writing is really, it's very strong and very immersive. And it's a thriller essentially. It's a when it's told in first person, the protagonist he's a journalist who's been getting all these tips on crimes that have been happening, and it's starting to become obvious that there's a serial killer involved, and he's implicated. The journalist is implicated. So it's very good. It's very, very well done. And I found that a really enjoyable read. I got through that really quickly. Yes, excellent author. There we go. Okay, now my two favourite reads of the months. So Sandman Slim by Richard Kadrey. You might remember, I'll pop a link in. I did a couple of Christmases ago, I picked up Kill the Dead, which is obviously perfect Christmas read, not realising it was the second book in the series. Really enjoyed it. Fantastic book. Didn't need to have read the first one, but really wanted to. Now I'm probably going to go back and reread Kill the Dead just to have that sort of continuity before I pick up the others in the series. So essentially, James Stark he's been dragged to hell, and he's been turned into this warrior in hell because the demons can't break him, and he fights. He then ends up coming back to Earth, coming back to the world, with all these essentially supernatural abilities, and ostensibly he's going to take revenge on the people who killed his girlfriend. Obviously, it gets a bit more, because it then goes on for 5 books. He becomes this mercenary for hire, and it's excellent. It's got lots of humour. It's got the what I really like about it is that although the main character Sandman Slim himself is he's quite sarky, there is definitely that side to him. There's a lot of little one-liners and that sort of thing, which is fun, but he's also got quite a lot more depth to him. And that's the really nice bit. That makes the story a lot more engaging for me, because rather than it just being, all wisecracking, oh yeah, really cool, there's more going on. And there's also some fantastic passages. And I love this one towards the end, because in this book there's a really nice character arc as well, where at the beginning all he cares about is getting his revenge and then destroying himself somehow. And then and you see him slowly growing and developing and starting to move beyond that. And I thought it was very well done. I thought it was very good. So, there's only one problem with LA. It exists. LA is what happens when a bunch of Lovecraftian elder gods and porn starlets spend a weekend locked up in the Chateau Marmont snorting lines of crack off Jim Morrison's bones. If the Viagra and illegal Tracy Lords videos don't get you going, then the Japanese tentacle porn will. New York is short-con cannibals and sewer gators. Chicago is all snowbound yetis and the ghosts of a million angry steers with horns like jackhammers. Texas is crisscrossed with ghost railroads that kidnap demon-possessed Lolitas to play strip Russian roulette with 6 shells in the chamber. LA is all assholes and angels, bloodsuckers and trust fund Satanists, black magic and movie moguls with more bodies buried under the house than John Wayne Gacy. There are more surveillance cameras and razor wire here than around the Pope. LA is one traffic jam from going completely Hiroshima. God, I love this town. So, yeah, excellent. Very well written, very engaging main character, really interesting side characters. And yeah, definitely going to reread Kill the Dead and then get the rest of the books in the series. So, Sandman Slim, Richard Kadrey. Okay, and the best book I've read probably all year. First Met Haig, I've read, absolutely fell in love with it. This book is beautiful. It's funny, it's full of beautiful insights, it's full of a lot of affection and love for humanity, essentially. And a lot of understanding of what it is to be human. And yeah, stunning, absolutely stunning, and I can't wait to read more of Matt Haig's yet. I've narrowed it down to one to read to you. I had about 10 little post-it notes I stuck in as I was reading through, because about every other page, so, oh, that's perfect, I have to remember that. This book is beautiful, and if you haven't read it yet, pick it up. I laughed, it touched me, it's gorgeous. Anyway, gushing over, I shall read you a little excerpt from it. Oh, and obviously what it's about. So essentially the story is a physicist in Cambridge has solved this mathematical equation, and if he publicizes it, it's going to change the direction of humanity. We're going to make massive leaps forward. We're going to be capable of interstellar travel, all this sort of thing. So it's huge. And these aliens have been keeping an eye on us. And they're like, no, humans are not ready for that sort of responsibility, which, yeah, pretty much right, really. So an alien is sent to Earth to replace the spirit of this physicist, to make sure he hasn't told anyone about this equation, to kill anyone that he could have told, and essentially make sure that humanity does not find out about this equation because we're not ready, which the alien then does. But initially he's disgusted by all of us. I mean, we're just weird, we've got noses and things, it's horrendous, and he hates it all. But slowly he begins to learn what it is to be human. And it's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful story. It's so affectionately told. It's wonderful. It's just wonderful. Okay, no, I'll stop now. Okay, so I thought of binary stars, a red giant and a white dwarf side by side, the life force of one being sucked into that of the other. His death was a fact I was convinced I could disprove or dissuade. But death wasn't a white dwarf. It was a good bit beyond that. It was a black hole. And once you step past that event horizon, you were in very difficult territory. You are not dead. Gulliver, you are not dead. I kept at it because I knew what life was. I understood its nature, its character, its stubborn insistence. Life, especially human life, was an act of defiance. It was never meant to be, and yet it existed in an incredible number of places across a near infinite amount of solar systems. There was no such thing as impossible. I knew that because I also knew that everything was impossible, and so the only possibilities in life were impossibilities. A chair could stop being a chair at any moment. That was quantum physics. And you could manipulate atoms if you knew how to talk to them. You are not dead. You are not dead. I'm going to go read it again. So yes, favourite book of the year. I mean, it's taken me so long to get around to reading Matt Haig, and it's another one of these ones. So I'm just going, why have I not read him earlier? He's amazing. So absolutely love it. Read it if you haven't read it. It is beautiful. And yes, so tell me, what have you been reading this month, last month? What's your favourite book of the year been so far? Any new author discoveries that you've absolutely loved? And have you read any of these? What are your thoughts on them? Let me know below. And yes, I shall see you next time. I shall be back sooner. Bye.